Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. I'm Lisa Hetrick. Friends, I'm super excited to be here with you today. I have a really fun tutorial that I'm going to share with you today, but I'm not really sure what the tutorial is going to be because I've kind of been thinking about it. We're going to have some fun. We are going to have some fun. We're going to have a much slower pace today. If I can get the tech to work, I think I have a camera that's going to allow me to like kind of do a little 360 in the space. It may or may not work. We'll see. But anyway, let's double back. So friends, it's June. We're moving into summer. It's finally starting to get warm, or more like humid, in here in Maryland. And my garden is flourishing and things are starting to pop up and grow, and there's lots of flowers and there's lots of things happening. And I've been really, really inspired by a book I recently picked up called Life with Flowers from Frances Palmer. And it's the inspiration today for the tutorial. And I'm going to share today's tutorial is predominantly going to be watercolor. Going to freestyle it, going to talk, we're going to have a chat, and I'm going to be using my latest stamp set with Gina K Designs called Limited Edition. Okay, so we're kind of winging it today, friends. I hope you're all will love that. But anyway, I see people popping in. Hello, Sharon. Hi, Gloria. Hi, Mary. Judith. Pat. Catherine. Thank you, Catherine. I have a green shirt on today. Hi, Julie. Okay, friends, if you have questions along the way, today is sort of a combination of when I do paint and chats during the month, but we're going to do a little bit of stamping in here because my limited edition stamp set, well, it's called limited edition. It's not a limited edition. My stamp set with Gina K Designs, my most recent stamp set, it has a book in it, and I've been so inspired and just kind of reconnecting with some of my other books that I have about related to florals. I've just kind of wanted to get that stamp set out and kind of play, and let's do some watercolor and talk about watercolor techniques. Okay, friends, I'm going to try it. Pop in the chat. If you have questions along the way, pop them in the chat. Pop in the chat if you're interested in me trying to do a little bit of a 360 around the new space. I think I can do it with my cameras. And you can see behind me, like all of this is new, but it will require me to do it on my phone. So let's just do it. Let's just do it real quick. There aren't that many of us. We're going to give it a go. So I'm going to flip to this camera. Okay, friends. Woo! Okay. So this is weird. Let me start over here. We'll start over here. I got a little bit further away. So I'm going to just kind of give you a quick look, and I can't see what's happening. So hopefully it's kind of showing you the space and my messy desk and a couple things down here. And I have a little bit of a couch over here, and I'm still kind of unpacking over here. Hopefully it's showing you something because I can't really see if it is because I'm not in front of the camera. So I can see a little bit right now. I'm not in front, and I'm sorry for the shaky video, but it's my phone. So here is this large unit that goes across the wall. I kind of hopefully showing you that. And I'm still unpacking a few things. I'm finally walking into where I can see my monitor, but there's my window. And then I have these all along this wall, and these hold a big majority of the supplies. So, and here is my setup. You can see my camera, and that is the door. And this is what my desk looks like right now. So kind of wild. And there's that couch, and you can see that's a Goodwill box. That's some mosquito repellent. And I have a little couch in here. And then like here is what the floor looks like. Not that the floor is super important, but these desks right here are counter height. So I can stand when I'm working. There's also a little cat underneath here. Do you see him? That is Dash. So let's go ahead and disconnect from that and come back to our regular camera. Oh, friends, I didn't even wait for you all to say, let's take a peek. I just kind of did a quick run around. So the space is still in progress as far as me. I have about 8 more boxes that I'm still bringing back into the space or not. So you can see that I kind of deal with a box at a time or a few things in the box at a time, and really trying to be really intentional about what comes back in the space and what I want to do going forward. So yes, everybody's just sharing. So I guess it all worked. It was weird because I was walking around the room, friends, and I couldn't see, because this monitor is here, I couldn't see what I was doing. So hopefully I was showing you something. So, all right, friends, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to head to the overhead cam and pop my face in. Okay. So today, this is the book. We are going to be working with limited edition, the stamp set, limited edition, and we're going to be working with this book from that stamp set. We're going to do some watercoloring today. I've just got my Winsor Newton watercolor sets out here, and we're going to do some watercoloring. And I was basically inspired to do this tutorial today based off of this card that I just recently posted about cards that sometimes don't turn out the way we think they're going to turn out. I want to just double check something with the camera here and make sure this is not blurry, or is that my eyes? There, I think I was able to refine that a little bit. Not sure. Hopefully it looks a little clearer. A little techie. Yeah, that looks a lot clearer. Okay. Friends, if anything ever looks weird or off, just pop in the chat and let me know. So this is the card. And I felt like this card was one of those cards that got away from me. I had this idea. I wanted to watercolor this, and I wanted to do like some flowers exploding out and, you know, in an uncontrolled way. And I was just like, this kind of doesn't look the way I thought it was going to look like in my head. But this is what has inspired me for today and this book. Okay. One thing I want to bring in real quick. Check this out. Okay, this is sitting on my desk right now. These are various herbs from my garden that I pulled this morning for lunch eventually when I make it. There's actually bee balm in here. There's mint, there's basil, and there's sage. So I've got a really, really interesting set of flavors and smells going in here, and it's just super glorious. And if you've never grown herbs before, holy smokes, just drop some seeds in some dirt, and this is what you get. It's pretty awesome. So hello, more people popping in, just joining your first live. Krista, welcome. Anna, greetings from Estonia. Welcome. Okay, I have talked enough. We're to like 11 minutes in, did kind of a little quick tour of the space. Let's dive in. This book, Frances Palmer, Life with Flowers, is the inspiration, the color inspiration for today. Loving these absolutely beautiful yellow flowers. They're just gorgeous. And then these beautiful vases that have like a little bit of a gray blue in them. So this was the color inspiration for today, and I've pulled some colors. Now, all of the supplies aren't listed yet, but they will be after today's live. I've got wild dandelion. I have innocent pink, grass green, slate. I think this is like slate, and obsidian. So yeah, Rhonda says she grows her herbs every year as well. This book. Okay. So super inspired. I feel like I feel like talking about some of our favorite books, and I actually put that in the headline that that's what I was going to do, that this was my favorite book right now, Inspiration and Lessons from the Garden. Frances Palmer is a potter and a flower, like she grows. She has a beautiful, beautiful garden. And this book has been absolutely beautiful. This is like her newest book. And I found out about it from a post that Florette had done about this book, and I picked this book up. I want to see if I can get to some of the things that she grows. We have a cat going wild in here, sorry. But some of these colors and some of this beautiful, beautiful, just this beautiful inspiration. And I'm just loving all of it. And it's been inspiring me. I mean, look at that. Look at how wild and wonky that is. It has been inspiring me, just giving me peace. Here she is right here in the book. Frances Palmer. Potter. So she makes all of the vessels that she puts her flowers in, and she does all the photography. So this book is just super inspiring, and I've been reading it and kind of savoring it and having moments of joy. And I feel like we have so many technological things coming at us, including me right now coming to you, through YouTube here to do this tutorial. I feel like we always have so many things coming at us that these moments to pause and savor just feel extra special, just absolutely extra special. So, okay, we're going to dive in. We're going to dive in. I knew that this was going to be a little bit of a paint and chat and stamp, and we may not make a card. If we do make the card, I'm going to be using this jelly bean green. But if we don't make the card, we're going to make this pretty composition, and we're just going to go for it. Okay. Everybody's sharing how much they love to grow their own herbs. I love it too. Krista, since this is your first time joining live on this channel, I share a lot of watercolor techniques. I do share them in the context of paper crafting and making cards with my Gina K releases. And I also do a lot of paint and chat. So everybody who's here, that some of our friends who've been here and been with me like almost every week when I go live, will know that it's just kind of, sometimes we just explore. Sometimes we explore. So let's dive in. Okay, friends, I pre-stamped the book down onto this piece of watercolor cardstock. Now I'm using the favorite cardstock that I like to use for cards, and that is Strathmore Ready Cut Watercolor. Let's pull it in. Thank you. Oh, good, Krista. You're a card maker. Okay, me too. And love the chat. So this is my favorite watercolor paper. Many of you know this. It's 100% cotton. It's my favorite watercolor paper for paper crafting and other things. It's easily accessible, and it's just a really, really good, affordable watercolor paper. So I enjoy it very, very much. Okay. Oh, hello. We have many new people. I joined Gina K when I remember. I love the book stamp. Oh, great. Great, great, great. Gina goes live today. Is today Thursday? Yeah, Gina goes live today. Okay. We're going to do some watercolor, friends. I am using a Princeton Heritage brush. This is a number 6 round. I really do like these brushes because they do come to a nice point. And I'm going to focus the book. So our flowers are going to be kind of focused on this color palette, this lemon yellow, and probably like this cad-free yellow, a little bit of a warm yellow and a cool yellow, and maybe toss in a little bit of quinacridone gold. We'll see. And then I'm going to do like my book kind of in this Payne's gray and kind of really gray it down a little bit. So let's go ahead and go. Let's just dive in. Okay. Friends, if you have any questions about watercolor along the way, feel free to ask. Thank you, Anna. Amazing at watercolor. Sometimes I don't feel so amazing, but sometimes I just enjoy it watercolor so much, or using mediums that give me watercolor effects like inks or watercolor pencils, things like that. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of this Payne's Gray down on my paper here. And we're just going to get started. We're going to do just a paint and chat. I'd love to know if there's any books or things that are inspiring you. Hello, Marie. People are popping in. We got quite a few. Now, the technique I'm going to start with is wet into dry. Brush is wet, paper is dry, wet pigment, wet brush. I'm going to pick some of this up, but I really want to add a lot of water. So see how I'm adding a lot of water to this mixture right here, but retaining the pigment, the amount of pigment that's on this side. So I've got a little graduation of how I'm using my water. When you add water to your watercolor pigment, you can get a variation of values in that color. And because this Payne's Gray, I can feel myself nerding out, friends. This is the nerd moment. Because this Payne's Gray is from Winsor & Newton is really like a beautiful bluish gray. I really want to tone this down to kind of get to achieve that color that I see right here. So, oh, people are working on their Father's Day cards. Sharon, good question. What ink did I use to stamp the book? I used Obsidian. And this is an amalgam ink from Gina K, and it will allow you to do your watercolor techniques with it, or Copic marker or anything like that. It's not going to move when it gets wet. Okay, I changed my mind. Brush is wet and clean, and I'm just going to apply some water to the book. Now, sometimes when I'm designing my stamps for Gina K, I'm always thinking about how can these stamps translate into beautiful cards, of course, but how can they also translate into beautiful possibilities for watercolor paintings? So that's why I always have like a couple different things going on, whether it's the coloring stencil that goes with it or two-step stamping so that you have some opportunity. Today we're going to use that coloring stencil. I think. We'll see. We'll see. All right, I'm dropping in. I have an incredibly mischievous cat in this space right now. And if you would bear with me, friends, he is up there. A little stinker. He is up there watching me from behind, and it is a little weird. So it'd be funny if I could get the other camera back up so that you could see him. But anyway. Sue said, I'm using this set for our anniversary. The hubby reads nonfiction every day. Oh, I love that. This has been such a joyful set. Joy, she shared, I'm obsessed with Gina's amalgam inks. I am too. I have them all. I love them. I absolutely love them. I'm just dropping some color in here. And you can see that I'm just picking up some of this Payne's Gray to just, I need a little bit of my towel here. Picking up some of this Payne's Gray, and I'm just working with what's here. I had a little, evidently in my brush, you can see a little bit of a pink color. I think I had a little bit of residual pink in my brush, and I did not clean it up. So, oh my goodness. This cat is knocking something over. Excuse me. That was rude. He just knocked this over. That would have been really loud. It's a wild day here in the studio. The cat's got the zoomies. I swear he doesn't even come out until he hears me go live. I think he just wants to say hello to you. Marie said, as I watch, you're saying tap, tap, tap. Yep, because that's what I say. I'm going to grab a little bit of this darker Payne's gray and just kind of pop a little bit in these corners. Tap, 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 tap. Or brush dance it out, right? We're brush dancing. Dancing my brush around and letting it kind of do its thing. Now my brush is really kind of super wet, so I'm choked up here on the ferrule quite a bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and use what's here and kind of blend it out a little bit. Now I feel like there's a little bit going on up there. Take a little bit of tissue and just kind of put it in there, and it kind of acts as like a little wick and can sop some of that away. So I felt like there might be a little too much going on. But also, one of the things I want you to keep in mind, when you feel like you might have a little bit too much color, let's pull in, see if we can come in a little tighter here. If you feel like you've got a little bit too much color, resist the urge to kind of be super concerned about it at first blush, because I could feel myself getting a little bit concerned about it. Because when watercolor dries, the kitty did just flew by right behind me, Gloria. He is bonkers today. So when the watercolor dries and I'm getting ready to dry it, it fades back significantly and allows us to come in and add more layers of color. That technique's called glazing. I call it layering. You can call it whatever you want. Joy's just sharing about the 3 cats that she has in her room. Oh my goodness. Cats are fun. We have 2. One's named Dash, one's named Sheldon. So, okay, we're going to go in and dry this. And I'm just going to dry it completely. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving this color. Okay, digging it. Now, I'm going to leave this the way it is. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to come in. I'm going to add just a little tiny bit to these corners. Brush is wet, paper is dry. We're going to come in and just pick up a little bit of this pigment right around this edge here, this Payne's gray. That is more of 100% like a milk, 100% no, whole milk texture, sorry. So see how we've got quite a bit here? And I'm just going to add it, tap, 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 tapping it in, clean off my brush. Yes, Marie, I am using watercolor paper. I am using Strathmore Ready Cut Watercolor, 100% cotton. It is the color, it is what I predominantly use for paper crafting projects. And I will have it listed below after the tutorial, but let me grab it. Here it is, right here. Strathmore Ready Cut Watercolor. And I just stocked up. I pick it up. You can pick it up at your local art supply store, local big box, like craft store. It's also on Amazon. It's also on Dick Blick. All those places you can find it. Okay, digging this. Eat. Look at that. I'm loving that color. I really think we've got a nice, close kind of inspiration. Not so much with the green that's in this one, which I really like. Kind of focusing on this blue-gray. Love that. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go in. I'm going to do a combination. I didn't really know what I was going to do today. I kind of had this idea. Wanted it to be about watercolor, and I wanted it to be a little bit about how we use our stamps for creating watercolor compositions. So in the stamp set, Catherine just shared, are you darkening the corners to prep as shadow for the flowers? Sort of. We're going to see how it plays out. So in the stamp set, I have some of these leaf-free pieces. Now, what I want to do is you could easily just stamp those leaf-free pieces and color them in and build our composition from there. But I got this idea of what I want to do today. And I kind of want to do a combination of painting in some leafery and flowers, and then like organically here, we're going to paint, and I'm going to talk through painting those things. Excuse me. Sneezing out of nowhere. Talk through doing some brushstroke florals and painting, and then I want to put our stamps over top. My face popped out. Sometimes my face pops in and out. Still working out the tech bugs. Sorry, friends, if that happens. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to start with a little bit of, let's get in here with a little bit of this green gold. Let me flip this so I can really see, make sure I got the right one. That's burnt sienna. Yep, this is green gold. I'm going to put a little bit of this green gold down. I'm going to do a little bit of color mixing too. So I've got a good concentration of this color. You can see that these paints didn't take me a lot to re-wet them, just added a little bit of water. Winsor & Newton is a really nice brand of watercolor. I'm going to grab some of this sap green and just add some of this sap green. Good morning, Donna. To that green gold. And I'm just hoping that that's going to give me a little bit more of some kind of realistic greenery. It's going to get me really close to this grass green color from Gina K. Okay. Now I'm going to come up, starting with my brush really vertically, I'm going to come up and do some kind of leafery, okay? So I'm just going to go from the center here and just start working my way out, and I'm using the very tip of the brush and just kind of doing some feathery little lines. This is kind of the idea that I had. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. My sinus issues are a problem too. This is the idea I had when I created this stamp set. I had this idea of an open book, like with your face behind it, and all of these things flying out, like flowers and leafery and bits and pieces. So we're going to just see where this takes us today. Okay, I'm picking up some more of this pigment. And then I'm going to just use the entire belly of the brush and just start creating some leafery. Some leafery. And I'm using the belly of the brush, lifting up, and it creates these beautiful little petals. Super fun. Now, if I want to take some of that color out, I'll take some of that color out. Just lifting some of that color up and out. Ooh. Let's move that back. Let's pick up some of that green gold. And let's do some more. I'm going to turn this way. I'm kind of jammed myself in here. Let's spread out a little bit. I'll move this down here, so just below my head. Kind of turn my project a little bit. And just do some more leafery pieces. Ooh, kind of like that. I'm going to pull out. I'm just going back in. And I'm doing a little bit of adding a little bit more color in. I'm just loving this. Loving this. Okay. Let's go in. Let's get a little bit more green gold over here. And we're just going to paint a few more pieces of leafery here. And we're going back and forth. So brush is wet, paper is dry. Woohoo! Woohoo! Whoopsie. Dropped my brush. Brush is wet, paper is dry. Cleaning off my brush. I think my microphone is a little too close to my face. I hope everybody can hear me just fine. I am still working on the acoustics in this room. I think it's getting better because I have 2 rugs on the floor now, and I have this little couch in here, and I think it's helping absorb some of the sound. Okay, using my brush again and just kind of creating some little leafery pieces. So holding the brush sideways, the whole belly of the brush and lifting up. Oh my gosh, I love this. I'm loving that. Eek! Okay. I'm going to come back in. Volume is good. Good. Thank you, Gloria. I'm going to come back in while this is wet and just kind of lift some of this color out. If we stamp over top of these images, I'm going to be stamping in obsidian. So, yeah, I'm going to stamp them in obsidian. Okay, I'm digging the way this looks. Now, what I want to do is I want to think about like what I perhaps might want to stamp over top. And I think what I want to do is like some of this leafery. So the book is in black. The outline of the book is in black. And when I do the eventual stamping of the images over top, they're going to be in black. So we're going to get this really interesting contrast and a layered contrast of black and the watercolor and the things that I've painted in. I would really encourage you to try this technique with anything you have in your stash. You don't have to have limited edition to make this happen. See this beautiful tiger lily. I'm gonna actually stamp this in, but I'm gonna use watercolor as my ink. We're gonna stamp this in right here, and then we're gonna color this in. Thank you, Krista. Here's the stamp. Let's just kind of play with this a little bit. So it's coming up out of the center. It's going to overlap some of the leafery, and I'm cool with that. You could use your Misty if you wanted to. This is what I'm going to do. I've done this on this channel a couple times, and so many of you have seen me do this. We're going to do it again. I'm going to take a little bit of the sap green and I'm going to just brush paint it on right here onto the stamp, to the stem of the stamp. And I'm actually going to end up cutting the bottom part of that off, I think. I don't know. Let me just put it on for the time being. Then I'm going to come in with some of the yellow. First of all, let's clean up my yellow because it's looking pretty. It has some pink in it. I'm going to add some yellow down here. This is lemon yellow. And I'm going to clean off a brush here, take a little bit of this Cad Free yellow, which is sort of like a Hansa yellow, just a deeper yellow, warmer yellow. And we're going to do these lilies in this yellow. Okay, I'm just going to paint this on. And I'm not like super concerned if I don't hit every line in the stamp, but I kind of am hitting every line in the stamp. And we're just going to stamp this down and then use that color. Let me just take this off. We're going to use the color that we've stamped in and see how gentle I'm being with it. We're literally just going to tap it here. I'm not smushing. I'm not grinding my teeth as I smush when I stamp. Just kind of tapping it in because I'm not super concerned about getting a super clean image. I just want that outline to be there so that we can see that shape and color and watercolor it in. So it's barely there, but that's okay. I do see it, and I also can use I should have pushed a little harder probably. Can also use my stamp as a reference. So let's go ahead in and do that. Now I'm moving to a smaller brush. I've got a number 3 for right now. Let me move my watercolor out. For some reason I'm not doing such a hot job of working in my space today. I think the cat threw me a little bit. Okay, now we know that right here and coming down here is going to be like some of the green. So right here is the bottom. You can see it right here. It's the bottom of the stem. Then we're going to come down to like right here and just kind of paint that in where we think that was going to be. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of this Payne's Gray and drop it in that little line so you can see that that's coming forward a little bit. It's a little thicker than I'd like it to be. But that's okay. That's okay. It's okay. Okay. Now I'm going to dry this as I move on to my yellows. Okay. This is just, right now, what I'm doing is we're adding in just some of our base layers, okay? I'm going to add some detail in, and we're also going to do some overstamping. So the whole thing is going to kind of pull together. It will, or it won't. We'll see. Okay. Now I've got this right here, this petal right here. My brush is wet, the paper is dry. I'm just going to bring in just the tiniest bit of this cad lemon right here. And the really, really beautiful thing about watercolor is that you can see, now you can see that it's overlapping that green. We're going to bring a little bit more of that yellow right there. But because watercolor is transparent, I'm not like super concerned about it being opaque there, because we're doing some washy watercolor, and that's the beauty of when watercolors overlap, even this yellow into green. Now, would a real flower allow you to see through it and see what's behind it? Some flowers, yes. And some flowers, no. But I'm not going for super realistic botanical here today. I am going for fun. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and paint. I'm going to need a little bit of this color. And then we've got this little lip right here. And then this comes around like this. So right now I'm just going to go in and just try to get my outlines going of these upper parts of the flower. I've got this piece right behind here that kind of comes down like this. I might need a little bit of color on my brush just to kind of bring that in. And I'm kind of digging it. Okay, so the brush is wet, the paper is dry, but we've got that developing color. I'm digging it. Okay, now super clean brush. It's a little bit wet. I'm going to come in and add a little bit of water, one petal at a time, and lift up some of this pigment just a little bit at a time and drop it in, tap, tap, tap. Let the water kind of do its thing, clean off the brush, and move that color towards the center. And I think what I want to do is I want to have my outer parts of my petals be a little darker than the center points at the moment. Okay. Now let's go ahead and turn this a little bit and have some fun with this. Now pop in the chat, just adding a little bit of water, if you've ever done this technique before. Now many of you who've been with me, you've seen me do this a couple times, right? I've done this technique a couple times on this channel. It's because I love it so much, and I think it's just a fun way to get out of your box of like the traditional way we tend to use our stamps, right? With ink, and we stamp and we just kind of play around. I think it's just really, really fun to try something different. So, all right, loving that I've got some shape to it. I'm going to dry this because I'm going to come in with a really fine point here and add the stamens, which are these parts of the flower, back in. I think my favorite part might be where this flower overlaps that piece of leafery that we popped in there. I'm digging that. I am digging that. Oh, thank you, Anna. Thank you. So Anna had just shared that I'm a great teacher. So what I like to do on this channel, especially for friends that are new today, is I like to nerd out. I like to slow things down. We don't always make a card, so I'm not focused on the anatomy of making the card because, friends, we know how to do that, right? We know how to cut our A2 paper. We know how to glue it all down. I like to focus on techniques and like exploring different things. And then when we get into these watercolor techniques, I like to slow it way down so that you can see that process. So, oh, thank you, Donna. Joyce just shared when I very first started before I had a guess. Good. There you go. You did. So now you can go back to it. All right, I'm going to use those lines. See how, and I'm using the very, very tip of the brush. And I'm just kind of following those stamped lines. And then just using the edge, the very, very tip of my brush. How many stamens do we have? We have a few. Also, I might edit out a few things. Very, very tip of my brush to kind of create that seed-like look. Oops, hopefully you can see. I know I'm a lefty and things kind of get in the way a little bit. Okay. Okay, stamens are a little bit thick, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm going to take a little bit more of that Payne's Gray and drop a little bit in right here at the base of this flower, the center of the flower, just to give us that sense of depth and that we are kind of looking inside of the flower in that spot. And I'm just going to pull, my brush is clean and I'm pulling a little bit of that color away so it's not so super intense, but we do get that shadow. All right, I'm digging that. Kind of digging the way that looks. This is a little bit of a mess and I've got some other little blurry things all over this, but that's okay. I kind of just really like that flower. Also notice that I haven't done the petal right here. So it looks a little wonky, right? So here's the petal that's missing. So let's go ahead and put that petal in as best we can, right? Because we can't really see it. But we can. There's a little bit there. I'm going to come down like that and then come over like this. And then this is going to come up like that to kind of get it pretty close to that look. So, no illustration experience required. Just kind of following the line of the stamps. Now I'm going to use the paint that's here and I'm just tapping and like going back and forth a little bit to get that color to move. My brush is wet. Paper is dry and I'm just using the pigment that's there. Maybe drop a little bit more right there. Drop a little bit more right here. And get a little bit more water. You can see that we're kind of vacillating between like super washy techniques that we did down here and here to some more controlled wet into dry paper techniques. So kind of digging it, loving that. It's got this ethereal kind of feel to it, you know, like that level of transparency flying out of the book. Maybe this book is a really interesting story, right? Who knows? Okay. Now, I think I want to come in. I think I want to do like a little filler flower, like right in here. Then we're going to come in and do some leafery. I don't want to get any kind of height going. So if we look at this stamp right here, like see how this stamp could come in here and you could have done that. I really just like the way those petals kind of drape. So it's making my eye kind of want to go right here and do a little filler flower, what I call a filler flower. It's more abstract. I'm going to teach you how to do this flower. It's super simple. So like this would be kind of like a filler flower if we stamped it. And I'm probably going to stamp that like over there. We're doing all of this on one plane here. I'm going to do this filler flower. We're still working with these golds and yellows. Ah, Donna, great question. All right, let me pull down some quinacridone gold. I'm going to just get this nice and juicy and bring some quinacridone gold into the mix here. Just to get a good amount of that pigment. There we go. Okay, Donna's question was, when do you know what brush to use? Does it come down to technique or is there a brush for everything? So great question, or artist choice. So Donna, sometimes I will just use a round number 10 for like my whole entire project, or a round number 6 or 8 for the whole entire project. And especially when it comes to when you have a brand that comes to a really nice point like this. I'm kind of going back and forth between this 6 and this 3 today because I knew I wanted a little bit more control, and I tend to be kind of heavy-handed. So sometimes kind of go in with a little sploosh of things. So I kind of just go a little bit back and forth. Now, is there a brush for everything? I like teaching brushstroke techniques because they are, you don't need to have illustration experience to be able to create some really beautiful abstract florals or abstract anything. You're really just using the belly of the brush. So to answer your question for that is, there is a brush for everything. But I have really honed in on my baseline brushes being round brushes, whether that is the Princeton Heritage brand, the Silver Black Velvet. If you're part of my community, and Donna, you are, that whole brush thing that I did last month, that whole tutorial, I kind of nerded out about that. And I know I've nerded out about it on this channel. But for me, I think it becomes like artist choice and also getting familiar with your brushes and getting really comfortable with them. And having a good round brush that comes to a good point. Okay, I'm going to go in with my number 6. And we're going to use this quinacridone gold. And we're going to do a little bit of a filler flower. And I think I really want a little bit more pigment. This is a little bit too 2% milky for me. And I want to come in with a little bit of a whole milk strength of it. Getting a lot of pigment on the tip of this brush. This flower is this filler flower is kind of like a cabbage rose or a rose in general. I call it the C-curve flower because you're going to start with a little bit of a C-curve that looks like this, a C, or an upside down smile, and then a little C that goes like this. And then you're just going to kind of keep going around this flower with a little C and just kind of creating these petals that look very abstract. Now I'm going to clean off my brush here. They look very, very abstract. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of water to their outer edges and let them kind of expand a little bit. Add a little bit more water. I need to move that. Holy moly. Expand a little bit. And you can see that I'm dancing now. This technique that I'm doing right now is I'm lifting up the color that's there and I'm dancing my brush around. And just kind of making this flower a little bit wider just by dancing it around. And it creates this illusion of this flower inside here, and it's got got some shape, but it really is kind of a filler flower. We'll give it some more shape in a moment. I'm going to pick up some sap green or just some green in general. Brush is not super, super wet. And then I'm just going to kind of create a little tail, a little stem, and then go back up. Belly of the brush, create a little piece of leaf right there. Okay, digging it. Now I'm going to dry this and kind of show you how I'm going to go in and add a little texture. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're running over. Typical me, we're running over. Okay, I'm going to go to my smaller brush here. And then I'm going to do this technique. I don't think it's a real technique, but I call it brush dancing. Got the tip of the brush. The brush is super vertical, and I'm just going to draw in, I need a little more water, some of these S curves, and just kind of go around in this circle. And see how I'm just kind of making those little S curves, and it just creates a little more detail on top of the abstract that's underneath it. Okay. Thank you, Donna. I want to go back in because I feel like our flower has some really beautiful shape, but not a lot of dimension and color. So I'm sticking with my little 6 here, and I'm picking up some of this quinacridone gold, and I'm just going to put a little touch of this darker color, clean off my brush, need a little bit of water, just on some of the outer edges of the petals. Let's come in here. Just to kind of give the petal a little bit more shape. Okay, let's do that over here. And do a little bit more. Oh, digging that. Digging that. Okay, now we're going to do it right here. Just adding a little bit more color. Thank you, Donna. I didn't really have a solid idea for today's tutorial. I kind of did, but kind of didn't. And I intentionally did not pre-prepare. And I intentionally didn't start grabbing supplies until a half an hour before we went live. And the reason, see how that flower is starting to get like some really interesting dimension and coming forward quite a bit, that petal. I just love that. Oh, it's so ethereal looking. Now let's do something right here. I need a little bit more of this quinacridone gold. Let's pick up a little bit more. So I intentionally didn't pre-prepare. And friends, I was actually working before we went live today. I was actually working on an illustration set for Gina K that I was turning in because we are always work kind of far ahead. So I was turning something in, and I'm excited about what I turned in. Okay, just adding a little bit more of that quinacridone gold right here just to get a little shape, more shape in this flower. And I'm kind of just going back and forth with a clean brush and scrubbing it out just to get a little more shape. Kind of like this. Feel like we need a little bit more right here in this tip. Cleaning off my brush. Cleaning off my brush. Need a little more right here. Now I can easily feel myself like going a little bit too much and maybe perhaps gonna overdo it. So I'm gonna step back a little bit and then just do this little tiny, let's pick up a little bit of this color right here. Come on, need a little bit more right here. Just tap, tap, tap. Popping that in like this. And maybe you need to kind of just pull some of that out in a way. All right, I'm going to leave it. Leaving it. Part of me wants to drop in just a little tiny bit more of that Payne's Gray right there. Okay. All right, I'm kind of digging this. Got my filler flower. Feeling that. Now I'm going to just go ahead and do a little bit of overstamping. So and we're going to I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling over top of the watercolor. Let's have some fun with that too. All right, here are my 2 pieces of leafery that are kind of open line leafery that are very similar to what I painted in. Let's have some fun with that. Okay, now, no, I'm not going to resist the urge. I was going to do something a little bit different, therefore changing up my thoughts, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to overstamp in obsidian, okay? Because it's going to pull in some of that contrast between the black and the watercolor. So let's go ahead and just kind of do this. And I'm overstamping, I am pressing a little harder, overstamping some of the watercolor so that's pulling through and showing up, which I kind of like. I'm going to go this way with it. Ink this up a little bit. And just kind of come out here and go this way. Oh, I'm loving the way that looks. I am digging it. I like this contrast. Loving it. Now I'm going to come in and do some interesting little details here. Let's pop this little heart. There's a, whoops. Oh, it's pretty dirty, that little heart. Let's see. We're going to pop this little heart right here. I'm going to use obsidian. Pop that little heart right there. Kind of digging it. I'm winging it right now. And then we've got these little tiny curly book cues. I call them curly book cues. I don't know what they are. Like little curlies that fit perfectly. Like, I'm just going to pop it right above here. So we're doing a little bit of overstamping over top of the watercolor. Kind of digging that. Just kind of framing that in a little bit. One that goes this way, one that goes that way. Love this. Now, covering up. I want to cover up this obsidian so I don't get my hands in it. There's something else I want to do to this, but I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. I want to bring in the stencil. And friends, I finally picked up some of these little brushes that are just so fun to do some stenciling. And I want to stencil in some polka dots over top of the Payne's Gray. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this, so let's see. Let me just grab a few of these polkas. Part of me wants to try to do this in yellow. Another part of me is just going to try this innocent pink. I'm not really sure how this is going to come out, but let's try it. I could also use these daubers and do some, do it with watercolor. But I'm just going to try a little bit of this pink in this polka and see if it actually works. See if it actually shows up. I'm giving it a go. I'm winging it. Oh, I like that. Oh, it's just very, very subtle. And I also used, oh, did I use the right side? Yeah, I did. Okay, let's do it. It's very, very subtle. So we did our base color for the book in watercolor, Payne's Gray. If you don't have any watercolor, don't fret. You could use your Gina K inks. You could use the slate. You would just have to kind of work in a few more layers just to kind of build up that color. All right, this is my first time using these. I think I need to re-ink this. Uh-oh, I moved it. Uh-oh. It's because I didn't get my proper tool out to make it stick, but that's okay. I don't always properly do things. And like I said, I was winging it a little bit today. All right, I'm digging that. Oh, I am loving the way this looks. Okay. Could have gone in with a little bit of this slate over top of that book and stenciled that in, and that would have worked too. But I really had this idea of doing a little bit of pink. So, all right, digging these. My first time using these, I bought quite a few from Gina. See, I have a whole little like thing of them now because they're kind of fun. Sometimes blending brushes are a little too big for me and for the things I want to do. Okay, now I think I want to add, I'm going to kind of wrap this up a little bit and just kind of deciding if I want to add a little bit more greenery. I don't think I do. I think I really kind of like the way this looks. And I kind of like the way the black is coming out here. I don't know. Maybe that flower, maybe this flower. I think we're running low on time, so part of me wants to do something that's kind of shooting out up here. So I don't want to pop a stamp in. I actually want to do something watercolored. So let's go ahead. Actually, no. Just had this idea. This little filler flower stamp. I'm going to stamp that down right there and just kind of let the top part of it be there and then kind of integrate that back in. In my brain, this is going to work. We'll see. I want to bring a little bit of this pink up. So what do I have over here on my palette? I've got a little bit of Permanent Rose. Permanent Rose is one of my favorite Winsor & Newton colors. I'm going to take a little tiny bit. I feel like that's a lot. And just kind of feel like that might be a lot. It feels like a lot to me. It feels like it's going to blip. So let's just go ahead and kind of pop this up here. I got a feeling this isn't going to look good. So let me just kind of tap it down real quick. So there we go. Just wanted to kind of draw a little bit of that pink up. And this flower, see how it's sort of like a little any kind of flower, right? It's a bloom. My brush is wet and I'm just going to work with the little tiny bit of the color that's here. Clean off my brush a little bit and just kind of spread that color out. Wow, there's a lot of pigment there. A lot of pigment. So it's kind of like a little rosette flower. Oh, I really appreciate all of you kind of coming along for the experimental ride with me today. I'm digging the way this looks. Adding a little bit of that pink. Like I said, I really just didn't know where I wanted to head with it today. I just know that I have this feeling that we all just need to pause a little bit and that there's lots of different ways we can learn things. And I like to learn things this way where we're kind of trying new things with our stamped images. I'm just getting us some green here with this really fine tip. I'm just gonna put a little bit of green right there and just kind of bring really light hand here and just add that little stem right there. See it? It's so pretty. It's just right over top. And it just looks so cute. And I'm just getting a little bit of like a cup shape underneath that little rosette. Oh, I really love that. And then I'm just going to come up here. I want to add just the tiniest little bit of leafery. Just the tiniest little bit of leafery. And maybe a tiny little one right there. Tiny. All right, I'm going to dig in this. I'm really digging this. I like the way it looks. You you could, I feel like maybe we could do like another pink one over here. And maybe another pink one that kind of comes down into this direction. But for now, we're going to stick with it. And I'm going to come in. We've got like some texture and dimension here. It's a little flat right here in the middle. And we're just going to finish it off this way. I'm going to come in with my smaller brush. And I'm going to go full of strength with this sap green. You can see I'm getting quite a bit of it on the tip of my brush here. Yes, it's cute and unexpected. I'm picking up a little bit of this Payne's Gray, and I'm going to come in and just kind of refine some of the leafery, like just a little bit of these details, and add maybe a little bit more of these little tiny lines. Just adding a little bit more kind of texture. So it's bringing a little more attention to the center here. I can even add like a couple little leafery pieces right here. It also is a nice contrast to the leafery that's in black there. Okay. Joyce says it's tipping it down in the UK where I am, but I do love the sound and the smell when it rains. Oh, nice. We've had, I'm in Maryland in the US, and we've had rain, it feels like nonstop for like 4 weeks. And it's finally starting to get a little more humid. We needed the rain, friends. We were kind of a bit in a drought. So I welcome the rain because it's good for the garden too. Thank you, Gloria. All right, I'm digging this. We've got a lot of texture. We got a lot of dimension. We got a lot of things moving. I really do feel like I wanted to put like another little pink flower. So in my brain, to resolve that little bit of pinkness that I feel like the project needs, we're just going to do a little splatter. And I'm either going to regret this or I'm going to love it. And we'll see. Okay, just a little tiny bit of splatter over here. Yeah, just to kind of bring it together a little bit. Just to kind of bring a little more of that pink in. I'm digging that. I'm leaving it. I'm going to resist the urge to do anything else to it. Now, let's cut this down. Let's at least cut this down into a size for the card front. I'm probably not going to glue it down because we're running low on time, but let's dry this off and cut this down. My head popped in and out. Has to do with a few things. Now I'm still working out. Still working out a few techie things. Okay, there's a couple ways that we could cut this down. And I am going to, we could use one of the master layouts dies to cut this down. Or we could just like freehand it and cut it that way. So here's like my little basket of frequently used master layouts dies. So this is one of my frequently used master layouts die. It's a little too small. Here's another one. This would be really good to cut it out in that direction. What I'm going to do, because I didn't bring my die cutter over, and actually die cutter is behind me, is I'm going to take, maybe not. I don't know where my pen is. How prepared did I come? Let's just at least get this cut down so that you know what it will look like on a card front. I'm just going to just put a little line around here, just giving me a sense of cut that out. And we're just going to put it in a paper trimmer. But check it out. I don't These are my frequently used master layouts dies in this cute little basket. It sits behind me over there. You probably saw it. I sit it behind me. I also have a cat staring at me. All right, I'm going to pop this in. I just recently got this because my little guillotine paper trimmer, I broke it. And it wasn't cutting very well. So let's just kind of eyeball this and cut this down. Probably gonna, yeah, I'm totally just gonna eyeball this. Forget my markings. Man, this thing is sharp. This is my first time using it too, I think. I don't know. I probably did a little test with it when I got it. Let's trim off this bottom. Whoosh. Kind of digging that. Let's trim that. And let's trim a little bit more off the top here. Let's see how that looks. All right, we got all these little bits and pieces. So this would kind of be your piece for your card shape. Actually, I really like this a lot. And I think it would be, if you didn't put it on the card, look at that. I actually did a decent job cutting that. If you put it on the card, it would look like this, which is quite lovely. Or you could just use it as a postcard. How fun would that be? I'm really digging this. Kristen just said, watch your fingers. I know, right? Crazy. Okay, friends. I ran over quite a bit today. We had a fun little stamp and chat. I hope you got a lot out of today's tutorial / nerd out / paint and chat / stampy / all the things. We had fun. I had fun seeing this project come to life. Hope you enjoyed the little tour in the beginning. I'm sorry if it was a little disjointed with me holding it. I really didn't think I was going to do a tour, but we did one anyway. Anything goes, right, on this channel. Okay. All right, friends, I'm sending you into the weekend to craft your joy. If you're at all interested in joining my email list, I would love to have you on my email list. I send out an email once a week, except for last week when I completely forgot to send it out. And sharing all of the latest tutorials that are coming, and also sharing freebies and sharing like the next releases and things like that. That is linked down below in the description. I would also love to have you in my free community. I'm never really sure what everyone sees in social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, all the things. So I launched my own free community where I share strictly watercolor content in that community. And you can find that at craftyourjoylab.com. That's also linked down below in the description. Take a peek at it, read what the community is about, and see if it's for you. You might really enjoy it. We have several friends here that are in the chat today that are a part of that community. And I also do share some exclusive tutorials over there that I don't share anywhere else because I know that you'll see it over there. Okay, friends. Woo! That was a whole lot. And I got a whole lot of mess going on here. So, okay. Have a great weekend. I see everybody saying thank you, that they loved it. That's great. Y'all make me so feel very happy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and thank you for your patience for all the little technical glitches along the way as I start to still try to get things set up. Okay, friends, thanks so much. I'll see you next week. Next week, we're doing a straight up paint. It probably won't be stamping. It'll be a straight up watercolor tutorial. And I don't know. I'm probably going to be inspired by flowers. So we'll see what happens. Okay, friends, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great weekend. Bye now.